Hi, I'm David Chin, and this is the story of how I turned from being the family disappointment to the person who saved our entire family's legacy. But let me start from the beginning, because sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one holding all the cards. 7 years ago, I joined Chen Global Technologies, our family's company, as a junior IT technician. While my cousins Michael and Lisa worked in executive offices with floor-to-ceiling windows, I chose to work in the basement, surrounded by servers and the gentle hum of cooling fans. Not that I had much choice, it was the only position my Uncle Robert, the CEO, would offer his underachieving nephew. "David, you need to understand," Uncle Robert had said during my initial interview, his voice carrying that familiar disappointed tone I'd heard throughout my childhood. "We're only offering you this position because your father insisted. Try not to mess it up." I still remember nodding quietly, accepting the position while my cousins smirked from their corner offices. What they didn't know was that I had already turned down offers from Google and Microsoft. I had my reasons for choosing our family company, reasons that would only become clear years later. The first few years were a study in endurance. While my cousins drove luxury cars and attended executive lunches, I spent my days maintaining our company's digital infrastructure. Every morning, I arrived an hour early to run system diagnostics. Every night, I was the last to leave, ensuring our networks were secure. "Still playing with computers, David?" Michael would joke whenever we crossed paths in the hallway. "When are you going to get a real job like the rest of us?" Lisa was no better. "Oh, cousin, you should really dress better," she'd say, eyeing my practical clothing with disdain. "No wonder Aunt May keeps trying to set you up with girls. No one would date an 8 guy voluntarily." But while they were busy mocking me, I was learning. Every system, every network, every piece of data that flowed through our company passed through my department. I knew every contract, every client relationship, every trade secret. Not because I was snooping. I would never breach that trust. But because I was the one building and maintaining the systems that protected this information. The real turning point came 3 years ago, when I noticed some concerning patterns in our network traffic. Late-night data transfers, unauthorized access attempts, and strange communication patterns with our overseas offices. I spent months quietly investigating, documenting everything, and building stronger security protocols. That's when I received the first email from James Morrison, CEO of Morrison Technologies, our biggest competitor. "Mr. Chen," the email read, "your recent security upgrades to your company's networks have impressed us. Would you be interested in discussing a position with our organization? The compensation would be significant." I declined politely, but kept the email, just like I kept every other offer that came my way over the years. Microsoft, Amazon, Apple. They all reached out eventually. It turns out that quietly revolutionizing a company's cybersecurity infrastructure gets noticed, even if your own family doesn't see it. Then came last week's annual company meeting. I sat in my usual spot at the back of the conference room, laptop open, monitoring our systems as always. The meeting was going as it usually did. Quarterly reports, growth projections, the usual corporate speak, until Michael stood up with his trademark smug smile. "I have an announcement to make," he said, straightening his expensive tie. "As head of operations, I've been reviewing our departmental efficiencies. I'm pleased to announce that we'll be outsourcing our 8 department to streamline operations. My brother-in-law's company will be taking over all 8 functions effective next month." The room erupted in murmurs. I saw Lisa trying to hide her gleeful smile behind her hand. Uncle Robert nodded approvingly from his seat at the head of the table. "It's time we modernize," Michael continued, looking directly at me. "We can't keep hanging onto outdated solutions just because of family obligations." That's when my laptop pinged. A new email from Morrison Technologies. But this one wasn't a job offer. This one would change everything. I looked up from my screen, a small smile playing on my lips. "Before we vote on that proposal," I said quietly, my voice carrying across the suddenly silent room, "I think there's something the board needs to see." And that's when I started the presentation that would make our entire family realize exactly who they'd been mocking all these years. The conference room screen flickered to life as I connected my laptop. Michael's confident smirk wavered slightly. He'd never seen me speak up in a meeting before. "David," Uncle Robert's voice carried a warning tone. "We've already decided." "One moment, Uncle," I interrupted softly, pulling up the first email. "I received this message from James Morrison 10 minutes ago. I think everyone should hear what our biggest competitor has to say." The room fell silent as I projected the email onto the screen. "David, our surveillance indicates that Chen Global is planning to outsource its aita department. Before you proceed with any transitions, I feel obligated to warn you about Maxwell Solutions, your proposed new aita provider. They've been compromised. The ransomware attack that crippled Stanford Industries last month, that was through Maxwell. There's a security breach waiting to happen. As a professional courtesy, given our past discussions, I wanted you to know. Regards, James Morrison, CEO, Morrison Technologies." Michael's face had lost some of its color. "This is ridiculous," he sputtered. "You're making this up. Maxwell Solutions has an excellent reputation." I clicked to the next slide, displaying a series of network traces and security logs. "These are the attack patterns from the Stanford Industries breach," I explained, my voice remaining calm. "And these," I switched to another screen, "are the current network patterns from Maxwell Solutions. The signature matches. They're already compromised." Lisa stood up, her designer heels clicking against the floor. "This is just David trying to save his job. He's always been jealous of our success." "Actually," I interrupted, pulling up another document, "I haven't been just anything for quite some time." I displayed a series of emails from tech giants, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, all with seven-figure job offers. I've turned down 37 high-level positions in the past 5 years. But that's not important right now. I switched to another screen, showing a complex network diagram. What is important is that over the past 7 years, I've built a proprietary security system that protects not just our data, but our entire business operation. It's why we've never had a successful cyber attack, while our competitors have lost millions to breaches. Uncle Robert leaned forward, his expression changing from dismissive to concerned. "What exactly are you saying, David?" I took a deep breath. This was the moment I'd been preparing for. 3 things. First, Maxwell Solutions is compromised, and if we outsource to them, we'll lose everything within 6 months. Second, our current security system, the one I built, is worth approximately $300 million on the open market. Morrison Technologies offered to buy it last year. The room erupted in chaos. 300 million? Even Michael looked shocked. And third, I continued, my voice cutting through the noise. I discovered something else while building these systems. Something about what really happened to those missing funds from the pension account 5 years ago. Michael's face went from pale to ghost white. Lisa dropped her phone. Uncle Robert gripped the arms of his chair so hard his knuckles turned white. "You see," I continued, pulling up another series of documents, "when you build the security systems, you see everything. Every transaction, every deleted email, every hidden account. I never went looking for this information, but as the system administrator, it was my job to protect it." I clicked to the next slide, showing a series of transaction records. 5 years ago, $50 million disappeared from our employee pension fund. The official story was that it was lost in a bad investment. The truth is, and that's when the real bombshells started dropping, one by one, revealing secrets that would tear apart the carefully constructed lies my family had built their success upon. The conference room had gone deathly quiet as I displayed the transaction records on the screen. Every transfer, every hidden account, every falsified document, all meticulously organized and annotated. On March 15, 2019, I continued, my voice steady. Exactly $50 million was transferred from the pension fund through a series of shell companies. The money was eventually split 3 ways. I clicked through the slides. $20 million to an account in the Cayman Islands under the name Chen Ventures. That's you, Michael. $20 million to Lisa Chen International in Switzerland, and $10 million to a holding company controlled by Uncle Robert. Michael jumped to his feet, his expensive suit wrinkled from his tight grip on the conference table. "You had no right to access those records. This is corporate espionage." I smiled slightly. Actually, as the head of its security, it was literally my job to monitor and protect all company transactions. Every action I took was within my legal authority and documented accordingly. Uncle Robert raised his hand, attempting to regain control of the situation. "David, whatever you think you found, I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. Like the explanation you gave the employees who lost their retirement savings?" I interrupted, bringing up the next document. "Or the explanation you gave the SEC when they investigated?" The one where you blamed it all on a non-existent trader named Marcus Williams. Lisa's perfectly manicured nails drummed nervously on the table. What do you want, David? Money? A promotion? Name your price. I shook my head. This isn't about money. It's about responsibility. For 7 years, I've watched you treat this company like your personal piggy bank while hard-working employees lost their life savings. I've watched you mock and belittle everyone you considered beneath you, including me. But most importantly, I've watched you destroy everything Grandfather Chen built. I clicked to the next slide, showing our grandfather's original company mission statement. Grandfather started this company with a vision of technological innovation that would help people. He believed in creating value, not just profit. He believed in taking care of employees, not stealing from them. The room was silent as the weight of their actions finally seemed to sink in. But I wasn't finished. So here's what's going to happen, I said, pulling up a new document. First, the pension fund will be fully restored with interest. I already prepared the transfer documents. Second, all 3 of you will resign from your positions, effective immediately. The board will appoint new leadership based on merit, not family connections. You can't do this, Michael shouted, his face red with rage. You're nothing. Just an 8 guy. I clicked to the final slide, displaying my own stock holdings. Actually, I can. Over the past 7 years, while you were busy buying sports cars and vacation homes with stolen money, I was buying company stock. Every bonus, every raise, every consulting fee I earned on the side, all of it went into building my ownership stake. As of last week, I own 30% of Cheng Global Technologies. The color drained from Uncle Robert's face. That's impossible. The family trust controls the majority of shares. The family trust that requires all beneficiaries to be employed by the company, I asked innocently. The same trust that automatically transfers shares to the next largest shareholder if a beneficiary is found guilty of criminal conduct against the company. I let that sink in before delivering the final blow. I've already submitted all evidence of the pension fund theft to the SEC. They're very interested in speaking with all of you. So here are your options. And that's when I laid out the choice that would determine not just their fate, but the future of our entire family legacy. Option 1. I said, opening a folder on my laptop, you resign immediately, return every penny of the stolen money with interest, and accept positions as silent shareholders with no operational control. You'll still receive dividends, but you'll have no say in company decisions. I paused, letting the first option sink in before continuing. Option 2. I send this evidence to the SEC, the FBI, and every major news outlet. The company might survive the scandal, but you 3 definitely won't. Prison time for financial fraud isn't pleasant, especially for former executives. Michael lunged forward, his expensive watch glinting under the fluorescent lights. You ungrateful little. I wouldn't finish that sentence. I interrupted calmly. The company-wide security system I built includes audio and video recording in all conference rooms. Everything that's happened in the last hour is already safely backed up in multiple secure locations. Lisa, always the pragmatist, spoke up. How do we know you won't turn us in any way after we resign? I pulled up another document. Because I've prepared a legal agreement. If you comply with option 1, including full restitution, I'll sign a non-disclosure agreement. The employees get their money back. The company continues under new leadership, and our family's reputation remains intact. Everyone wins. Uncle Robert, who had been unusually quiet, finally spoke. And if we refuse both options? I clicked to my final slide, a pre-written press release detailing the entire scandal. Then at 5 p.m. today, this goes to every major news outlet. By tomorrow morning, Cheng Global Technologies will be the biggest corporate scandal since Enron, and you'll all be facing federal charges. The room fell silent as the weight of their situation sank in. Through the glass walls, I could see employees going about their daily work, unaware that their futures hung in the balance of this moment. Finally, Uncle Robert sighed heavily. You planned this all along, didn't you? Every detail, every move. I shook my head. No, Uncle. I came here 7 years ago, hoping to learn the family business and make you proud. The planning only started when I discovered the theft. Even then, I kept hoping you'd make it right on your own. Michael slumped in his chair, his earlier bravado completely deflated. What about my brother-in-law's company? The outsourcing deal. Already taken care of, I replied. I sent Morrison Technologies warning about Maxwell Solutions to their other clients. They're finished. Your brother-in-law should focus on finding a good lawyer. Lisa's perfectly composed facade finally cracked. All this time, we thought you were just the family failure, the quiet one in the basement. That was your mistake, I said softly. You were so busy looking down on me that you never bothered to look at what I was actually doing. Over the next hour, lawyers were called, documents were signed, and resignations were tendered. By sunset, Chen Global Technologies had a new leadership structure, and $50 million was on its way back to the pension fund. As I sat in my new office, not that I planned to spend much time there, Mom came to see me. Her eyes were red from crying. Did you have to do it this way? She asked quietly. I showed her the pension fund records. They stole the retirement savings of people who work here for decades, Mom. People like Mr. Zhang, who's worked in maintenance since before I was born. Mrs. Liu in accounting, who put 3 kids through college on her salary here. They trusted us. She nodded slowly, understanding but sad. What happens now? I showed her my plans for the company, expanding our technology services, increasing employee benefits, establishing a charitable foundation for technology education. Now we rebuild, not just the company, but our family's reputation. We do it right this time. Over the next year, Chen Global Technologies underwent a transformation. Under new leadership, we doubled our market share and tripled our employee satisfaction ratings. Michael found a position with a small startup, humble but hopefully wiser. Lisa opened a boutique consulting firm, finally working for her success instead of stealing it. Uncle Robert retired, spending his days trying to rebuild relationships with the family he had nearly destroyed. As for me, I still come to work early and leave late, but now it's because I love what we're building. Our company has returned to Grandfather Chen's original vision, using technology to help people while taking care of our employees. Sometimes, late at night in my office, I look at the old family photos on my wall and feel a twinge of sadness for what we lost. But then I remember the faces of our employees when we announced the return of their pension funds, the tears of joy and relief, and I know I made the right choice. Last week, I received an invitation to speak at a technology conference. The topic? Ethical leadership in the digital age. I accepted with a small smile, already planning my speech. After all, I have quite a story to tell. The company continues to thrive, but more importantly, we've restored our family's honor. Sometimes the quietest person in the room isn't just the smartest. They're the one with the strength to do what's right, no matter the personal cost. They say success is the best revenge, but I've learned that true success isn't about revenge at all. It's about responsibility, to your employees, to your family's legacy, and to yourself. In the end, the Just 8 guy turned out to be exactly who the company needed. And as I write this from my office, watching the sun set over the city, I'm reminded of something Grandfather Chen used to say. Honor in business is not just about making money, but about making a difference. I think he would be proud of what we've become. The company's future is bright, built on a foundation of integrity rather than deception. And that's a legacy worth protecting.